start into Nigeria's biggest stories of the day. From the Dailies, news that talks to you, only on Melody 107.7 FM, Lagos.
From the Dailies on your favorite radio station. Melody 107.7 FM. Stay tuned.
It's a minute gone past the hour of 8 o'clock right here on Melody 107.7 FM. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Lagos. Welcome to a fresh edition of From the Dailies, reaching you straight from the super dialing station, Melody 107.7 FM. It's that time of the morning again where we get to give you happenings now across the country that made it to the pages of the papers for the day. These are fresh stories that we are serving to you fresh on the super dialing station, Melody 107.7 FM. Thanks for joining us this morning. Once again, I am Roland Imoyera. This program comes away every Mondays through Saturdays from the hours of 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. every Monday through Saturday. Alright, don't forget our studio lines will be open shortly for you to call in to share your thoughts and opinions on any of the stories that will resonate with you as we go on this morning in the course of the program. If you have ideas you want to share, you have thoughts, and you have opinions you want the public to know about, alright, this is the platform for you to share it at the right time in the course of the program for today. And I'll be taking you through stories from the Guardian newspaper, the Vanguard, the Punch, as well as the Nigerian Tribune newspapers. Without wasting time, let me kickstart this morning's program with the stories from the front page of the Guardian newspaper for today. All right, Senate threatens sanctions as CBN, NUPRC, NDDC orders shun committee. That is on page 3 of the paper. We don't know why they've been shunning to meet the committee of the Senate to come and give account and accountability of their various ministries. So right now, Senate is threatening sanctions against these agencies. I think they should really take governance seriously in the country. If you are someone to come and give account, if you can come and defend your budget when it's time for budgeting, I'm not sure these agencies now will not come to defend their budget, but this is time for them to come and give account of different happenings in their agencies, and right now they are shunning this particular committee. Well, right now the Senate is issuing threats of sanctions against these MDAs. You can follow up more on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper for more on that story this morning. Moving on to other stories now from the front page of the Guardian newspaper for today. 767 factories shut, 335 others in distress under Tinubu's watch, article alleges, and that's on page 3 of the paper. Article has been shooting from all sides in recent times, as the build up to the 2027 general elections just closer. Right now, it has been so peculiar about the economy and how the present administration, attacking the presidency's handling of the nation's economy, and it's come out again to allege that 767 factories shut, 335 others in distress under Tinubu's watch. These are things that, if true, it's not a good sign for the nation's economy. We all know what is really happening. Factories are really shutting down due to one reason or the other. But on the flip side, people will also say he's just talking from the perspective of being an opposition right now. And we all know how strong this particular administration was when they were, at the other side of the divide. But right now, well, I think they are also receiving the fire from this particular camp. Talking about Atiku's camp. Atiku has even been more vocal in recent time, even to an extent more than Peter Obi in this contest. Well, it's just the build up to the general elections, and let's see what pans out and what all this translates to at the end of the day. And moving on to other stories now from the front page of the Guardian newspaper for today. Nigerians others lose $484 million to cyber attacks as Interpol warns of AI influence. Artificial intelligence is what we discussed in the program Burning Issues yesterday, and we look at about the positive sides and the negative sides to all this. But right now, Nigeria, Interpol is coming out to warn of AI's influence, saying Nigerians others lose $484 million to cyber attacks, and this is something that is quite worrisome. We get to see how people are lamenting, the way they are being scammed right, left, and center, taking advantage of innocent citizens and their vulnerability. It's something that the consciousness of Nigerians they should be awakened to at this time. All right, moving on to other stories now. Federal government orders pass burden of economic growth stability to state governors. Wow. The federal government, they are passing the burdens of economic growth stability to state governors, while the federal government on its part is doing its own to ensure that the country gets its right footing economically. The state government, I don't think, should be shielded from this fact too. They need to do their own part, play their own part to ensure that the economy of their particular state take a turn for the better. This is what is really playing out. You cannot just leave the burden alone to the federal government, because the state has its own mechanism of generating funds. What are they doing with the funds even being passed across to them from the federal government? The internally generated funds from the state government as well. What is being done with the funds? So I don't think this is a call that is out of place. Federal government orders pass burden of economic growth stability to state government. I don't think the federal government should be passing the buck. Federal government should also be doing its own part, while the state government should be doing its own part as well. They should also be seen as partners in progress in this contest for the citizens to enjoy the dividends of democracy, the dividends of governance. Yes, at the end of the day. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper for this morning, JAMB to go paperless as INA unveils 5-year transformation roadmap. That's on page 30 of the paper. INA just took over from the previous JAMB registrar, and that was over, I think, just Friday last week, and he has been setting his agenda to go paperless. Well, let's see what that translates into. Are they going to dwell strictly on the CBT? Well, the new chairman, the new registrar of JAMB is someone that is into the ICT sector, so let's see how it's going to drive that change in this particular. It's already putting out a 5-year transformation roadmap. Let's just see how that translates into better service delivery from that particular sector of the economy. Federal government rallies public input on state police as report says death toll hits 5,091 in second quarter. That is on page 6 of the paper. Federal government rallies public input on state police as report says death toll hits 5,091 in second quarter. This is quite high alone. Second quarter of the year, you have this high figure of deaths. I think the call for state police is quite apt, not to just augment and complement the efforts of the already established security outfits that we have in the country, who are already doing a lot to ensure that the country is made safe and secure at a time like this. Osun polls, I am not under pressure, but don't trust police, says Adeleke. That story is on page 7 of the paper. For a while now, the Osun State governor has been alleging how the opposition has been using the state the police now to cause chaos in the build up to the governorship election. That's just less than 2 weeks ago. He's now saying that he's not under pressure, but he just don't trust the police force. Especially yesterday I read somewhere that his campaign organization is petitioning the National Human Rights Commission regarding the reinstatement of the commissioner of police, who we were told last week was transferred out of the state in the build up to the election. Well, let's just see what happens at the end of the day as we draw closer to the governorship election in Osun State, which is very the tension in that particular state right now is already very high. Well, let's just see what pans out as we build up continues to the governorship election in Osun State. Falana demands probe of suspicious deaths, warns against cover-ups. That's a story you can get on page 29 of the newspaper for today. Moving on to other stories now. Enugu church abduction shows no Nigerian is safe. Obi warns. That is on page 29 of the paper. Showore reignites controversy over Tinubu's educational status. That is on page 5 of the paper. I don't think we should still be talking about the educational status of the president at this time. Knowing fully well that he has been a senator once, he has been a governor of 2 times governor of Lagos State, and he's almost halfway. He's almost done with his first term of office as the president of the country, and yet we are still talking about his educational status over time. Well, we know it's controversial one way or the other, but well, I don't think it should not be an issue at a time like this. We have to focus on other aspects of governance as we move forward as a country. Now, those are the stories you can get from the front page of the Guardian newspaper for this morning. Moving over now to the Punch newspaper for this morning, we also have this interesting headlines from the front page of the Punch newspaper today. Storm over fake agency probe as reps prepare final report. All right, the House of Representatives for a while now has been carrying out its own investigative hearing into the allegations now and an embarrassing situation surrounding the alleged agency, which has become like an embarrassing situation to not just the presidency alone, but to Nigerians in general. That story is on page 28 of the paper. Storm over fake agency probe as reps prepare final reports. And still from the front page of the Punch newspaper for this morning, 2027, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi weigh ex-governors for campaign director general roles. It has the rider Uzodinma Almakura Tambuwal among frontrunners for presidential campaign DJs. INEC opens 2027 presidential campaign August 19. Obi may pick campaign DG from Southwest. APC, ADC, NDC to unveil presidential campaign teams next week. It's an exciting time for political parties in the country as they keep positioning themselves and strategize and re-strategizing on a daily basis now to ensure that they emerge victorious in the upcoming general elections across the country. Well, let's see who they pick as we get closer to that particular date. 2027, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi were ex-governors for campaign director general roles. We all know how relevant these ex-governors sometimes are, how powerful they can be in shaping, because of their structures now in influencing elections one way or the other. So I guess that's why these candidates now are capitalizing on shopping to pick most of these ex-governors for campaign director general roles as we go forward to the build-up to the general elections in 2027. Tinubu to review State Police Bill September 3. That's on page 29 of the Punch newspaper for today. Moving on to other stories now. Labour gives federal government August 11 ultimatum over wage award. That is on page 7 of the paper. The Labour is here again giving federal government August 11 ultimatum over wage award. Some will say they are not really taking the Labour seriously in the country the way they used to. Some will tell you that they have already been politicized one way or the other. But right, they still play a very critical role in ensuring in getting the government now to take the welfare of workers seriously. Right now, the Labour is giving federal government August 11 ultimatum over wage awards. That's all you can follow up on page 7 of the Punch newspaper for today. 30 years after Atlanta Gold, I have not been rewarded. That is credited to Bonfrey Joe. Okay, that's a story you can get on page 30 of the Punch newspaper for this morning. Let's see if we can start taking calls this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello, good morning. All right, the studio lines are now open for you to call in to share your thoughts on any of the stories that we read out to you from the pages of the papers for this morning. You can reach us via 0906 201 1077 0906 201 1077. You can as well call us on 0704 800 1077 0704 800 1077 to be a part of the program for this morning. Flipping over to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper for today. APC more comfortable discussing Atiku than fixing Nigeria. That is credited to the ADC. Says 2027 will be decided by over 200 million Nigerians. This is not surprising coming from the ADC, knowing fully well the way this back and forth now between its presidential candidates, talking about Atiku Abubakar, the way he has been attacking, and then the way the federal government on its own part, the presidency on its part now, has also been responding to this attack. Let's see if we can take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thanks for joining us. You want to contribute on the program this morning?
I'm not contribute to anything. This number is my.
All right. Okay, let's move on to other stories from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for today. State Police Executive Bill will be submitted to Tinubu September 3. That is credited to Gbajabiamila. That's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper for this morning. And still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Orire abduction. Oyo Digital Panel invites public memoranda. It has the rider submissions of school children teachers abduction close August 14. Submissions on school children teachers abduction close August 14. The state governor, that's talking about the Oyo State governor, ever since the release of these children, has been so vocal, in calling for a probe into that particular incident. And he also set up a judicial panel to investigate the incident. So right now, we'll be made to understand that the judicial panel is inviting public memoranda for that particular investigation. Okay, you can get more on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper for today. Moving on to the Vanguard newspaper at this hour right now. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. Thanks for calling the radio station this morning. Your name and where you calling from, please?
My name is Gabriel from Agege.
Sorry. Maybe you have to call us back. It's not really clear. Maybe you have to call us back. Okay, please call the studio line back. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on now. From the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, FCCPC seeks uniform consumer protection as states open electricity markets. That's on page 19 of the paper for this morning. I'm moving on to other stories now from the Vanguard newspaper. 2027. Nigerians, not Obasanjo, will decide election. That is coming from the ADC. We all know the back and forth between former President Obasanjo and its vice. I'm talking about the current candidate of the ADC, talking about Atiku Abubakar. Nigerians, not Obasanjo, will decide election. That is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper for today. Economic Summit, Shetima, Okonjo-Iweala, Elumelu, others seek investment for Delta. That is on page 10 of the paper. And still on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper for today, I pity Tinubu but more concerned for Nigeria. That is credited to Olaweko Ashim. That's on page 49 of the paper. And to the big bold one on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper for this morning. Nigerians' quality of life took us to Tinubu. That is coming from Cardinal Onoyekan. Okay, it says, we are done talking. Tells president to govern better. For almost a week now, and there's been this back and forth between the presidency and the ex-cardinal. Okay, he has been really vocal, talking about the meeting of the bishops with the president and the fallout of that meeting. Nigerians' quality of life took us to Tinubu, says we are done talking, and is advising the president to govern better. One thing we've been saying for a while now is, the way we want the presidency to, take constructive criticism sometimes. The way the presidential spokespeople used to come out, to criticize everybody that is really talking, against the president has been, somehow for a while now, people have been saying, well, the way they respond to these attacks is not really quite, patriotic of them. But well, we all know that they are also doing their job. They have to do all they can to protect their mandate, to protect the presidency, and to ensure that Nigerians get to see that they are actually working to make life better for Nigerians. But well, just two-sided. It depends on whichever way you decide to stand to look at the situation. PFIPC, allow me testify. I am being made scapegoat. That is credited to Adeyemi 6 administrative clearance to appear before Reps panel. We've been talking about this for a while now. He was supposed to appear before the House of Representatives committee since last week, but the police did not, bring him to the floor. But now the House of Representatives, they are getting set to release their reports without him giving his own side of the story. So I might tell you, well, he should be allowed fair hearing. We should be allowed his own side, before coming up with your own final report on the whole investigative panel. Well, he's saying that he should be allowed to testify as he is being made a scapegoat. Then you can follow up more on that story from page 5 of the paper for this morning. And so from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, NEC approves refinancing of $3.3 billion and Project Gazelle to optimize cost, unlock additional liquidity. And so from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, APC Adeleke clash over notorious criminals and protection. Okay, it has the rider Oyebamiji unveils 100-day agenda, targets workers' welfare. That is on page 25 of the Vanguard for today. And still on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, what Tinubu told me after staff member died in my residence. That is coming from Umai. It's on page 45 of the newspaper. He said, and the president told him to keep constructing more roads. All right. Well, if you want to follow up more on that story, it's on page 45 of the Vanguard for today. And those are the stories you can get from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper today. Moving on to the Nation newspaper this morning, 2027, Makinde leads Oyinlola Fayemi on visit to Obasanjo. If you want to get the details of that story, it's on page 31 of the Nation newspaper today. NEC approves $4.5 billion Gazelle to facilitate to refinance loans. We will secure victory, says Uzodinma, which also has the story underneath Office of the Citizen in the arms of mafias. Okay, I think that's a report you can get on the front page of the Nation today. Kano Central Senator Anga dumps NDC, and that's the only NDC senator he has actually dumped the party. Let's see his next move. That's on page 4 of the Nation for today. JAMB targets digital reform. That's on page 27 of the Nation newspaper. Shetima, states should compete on job creation as well as investments. We spoke about that earlier on the pages of the papers for this morning, talking about how the states to also complement the federal government